Before I begin, I just want you guys to know when I look at this room, what I see is a room full of warriors. When I mean warriors because we tackle our goals and we tackle our fears. But that always wasn't the case for me. See, the thing about me is I would chase my goals, but I would never tackle my fears. And to be brutally honest, I always would run away from my fears. And some people might say it's a fulfilling way of living life, running away from your fears. But I can firsthand tell you that it will leave you feeling empty. And the story I'm going to share with you guys today is about me. And I hope it encourages you that on the other side of your fear is the rainbow that awaits you. So, I'm Kate. I was created to be bold and brave. However, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. We all have dysfunction, right? But my family was all about portraying perfection into a performance. So I grew up as a little girl to perform for others. I learned to run away from my fears, and I learned to avoid conflict at all costs. But I was created to be bold and brave. So how can I be bold and brave when my parents couldn't accept being bold and brave? It triggered their trauma and their hurts, and I don't blame them. But what that did to me as a young child was it made me realize that I can't be valued for all of me. So why would God value me? So I lived most of my life living as somebody I'm not. A life of people-pleasing, perfectionism, and performance. It was beyond exhausting. But the thing is I always had this fear, deep-rooted inside of me. If I faced my fear of my flummoxed family situations, that I would be the one to address it. But if I addressed it, I wouldn't see my family for quite a bit, which scared the crap out of me. So, I've also learned that life will always throw challenges at you. Right? You have two choices. You can continue the same cycle and be stagnant and not grow. Or you can decide to lean in and grow from that experience. So, fast forward 10 years later, I was faced with a toxic encounter that flummoxed me. And it was so toxic that it shook me to my core, and it made me realize this was my wake-up call. I was deciding to face fear, to feel fear. So what did I do? I established boundaries in my family. I grew through lots of therapy, and I took time away from my family. It was devastating at the same time. I played the burden as a parent in my family. So for me, it was beyond painful taking time away from your family. And I realized that the further I went away from my family, I started to see. I got clarity. That you can start to see toxic behaviors when you step away from it all. And I just realized that they were too afraid to face their fears. And I don't blame them. So I decided to continue therapy, to stay away from my family for a little bit, because my mental health was the utmost importance. And what I also realized going through this whole journey is that I discovered my faith in God and who I was created to be. And I'll start laughing about it, but it's insane for me to realize that facing my biggest fears would be the biggest blessing that would ever happen to me. See, the thing is, when I faced my fears about my family, it made me realize I could face other fears too. But on the other side of those fears, I never imagined that there'd be a rainbow awaiting for me. A heart full of joy and love that's just pounding and awakened passions. So, what happened was, I might myself. I'm authentic, but I still have this life that doesn't align with who I am at all. So I realized the next step was my career. I decided to choose a career for everybody else but who I was supposed to be. And it led me to actually reach out, meet with people, and discover what passions match, or what opportunities match my passions, despite if anyone understood. And it was exhilarating and scary at the same time. So I met great leaders and blessings along the way of souls that just plopped out of the sky. Lyle's one of those. And what I realized was that I wasn't afraid to build the courage to change my career anymore. I can proudly say that my next step is to pursue a passion, a facilitation, and connection. And it's so ironic because if I never would have faced my flummoxed family issues that just left me completely lost for the majority of my life, then I wouldn't have led to face the fear of finding the courage to change my career. And that led me to facing the fear that I'm doing right now, which is public speaking. And it baffles me beyond belief because if you would have met me, I know Brittany met me in a women's network when I was a completely different person. Bawled in the class because I realized I was going to face all my fears. And I would never want to talk about myself. No. I would never talk about myself in front of a crowd. But now that I've faced those fears, it's what gives me exhilarating joy and heart-pounding joy. So, I'm confident that the rainbow awaits me on this other side of this fear. And I encourage you all to face your fears. I encourage you, what if on the other side of your fears was a rainbow waiting for you? And I believe with all my heart that your rainbow awaits you. The question is, though, when adversity confronts you, what will you choose?